It's middle of November, it's the end of the riding season, so I thought I'd just take you through what it takes to clean up the jet skis at the end of the year and put them into storage. So first things first, everybody just gets cleaned up. So both of them got washed on the outside. Then this one I specifically went through since it has custom paint, and I do a vinegar and distilled water wash to get all the water spots off of everything. And then it just gets cleaned like a normal car. You use your car soap, and I'll do a cleaner wax on it, like a polish, to even out any high spots, low spots in the finish if there were scratches or anything over the year. And then this one's actually been ceramic coated, so it's been totally gone through on the outside. That means it's time to go through them on the inside and see what kind of messes they've got. So here's how they look now at the end of the year. So as you can see, I've already got the gas tank pulled out, fuel system is dried out, and then of course the engine's out. And once all that's out, you kind of have some room to see what's going on in here. But the ski is actually still complete. It only takes it about 20 to 30 minutes to get to this point. Now I need to take the electric box out, because really the only problem I had with this ski all year was that front bilge pump wasn't working. You can see I've got two pumps tucked away in there. And the way I had that one oriented, it had the outlet hose underneath this housing, and it just made it impossible to maintain. So I clipped the wires since it wasn't working and pulled the fuse and just ran with the one bilge pump for the rest of the season. But we're going to get that one working again here, and the pump actually works, so I think I know how to fix it. And we can see here that it looks like my bearing housing has puked up a ton of grease. And I don't know if that's because of my habits of really putting a ton of grease in these between rides, or if it's actually got bad seals, but we'll find out when we get down in there. The 440, on the other hand, you can see has had a consistent issue with some disgusting petroleum product in the bottom of the hull all year. And this is the one I've been riding, so I'll do tricks and get it filled up with water, and kind of spreads that muck around. So this one's really going to need a detailed clean. Interestingly though, this bearing housing, while I kept it full of grease every ride, early in the year was the one making my biggest messes. I cleaned up after the last like 2 rides ago, and now it's not making any messes, oddly. I guess it healed. Here's the engines out of each. We got the 550 on the right. It's basically stock. It's got high compression and a pipe, but it's been detuned for my daughter to ride it and make it comfortable and, most of all, reliable and quiet. I use a stock water box. And then there's the 440. Both of them, they just need to get cleaned up. There's really nothing planned for either of them, just to keep them reliable and keep using them for the year. So they're just going to get cleaned back up, and they're going to stay there until everything is done, and then they'll go back in. Okay, just catching up from previous video. Got the insides all cleaned up now. I got the electric box out of here so I can access all of this. I'm going to cut down the wiring for the switch so I don't have this huge pigtail, and then I'm going to clean all this up, install some new fuses, and this is pretty much ready to go back together in here. Here's the last step before the engine goes in. The hull is all cleaned up. I've got the grease from the bearing mess all cleaned up. I've got my stock bilge pump cleaned up. Both of these aftermarket bilge pumps are working. The wiring's not tidy, but it is now organized. I have a spare outlet in case something fails or a fuse blows. I've got a 2-position switch, 2 bilge pumps. I rerouted their outlet wiring. This one I put the outlet underneath for some reason when I originally installed it, and it was tidy but impossible to service. So now both pumps exit on the port side. This one will route up to this outlet, and this one routes out to that outlet. So here we go. Next step is putting an engine in. Just like that. Only takes me about 20 minutes to put one of these all back together. And that's actually about it. This one's all caught up, ready to rip for the season. Then just looking at the 440, it actually looks like it came out cleaner, but I kind of did a quicker job. Like, I didn't really scrub around the base around there too well, but it's ready for this to go back together, but we got some surprises for the engine planned. Okay, I got the 440 engine on the bench here. I'm going to pop off this flywheel cover and advance the timing just a little bit. Then I got some parts for it that are going on this year. The West Coast exhaust manifold that I need to modify for a 1/2-inch cooling line. And if anybody knows what these are, knows what I got planned on the intake side. Thought this might be interesting to see. If you look on up in there, you can see this thing's been ported. I didn't port the floor of the exhaust port for 2 reasons. First off, if it was ever, illegally racing and illegally trying to pass tech, a lazy tech would look down there and see that those ports had never been touched. But a good tech would be up in here with a mirror and see those exhausts have been widened and raised and polished. And then the same is true on the intakes. I only ported the part that matters. So I lowered the floor, smoothed it, polished it. The tops, that bridge, and the sides have not been touched. Well, that's going to about do it for me. We got the 550 all finished up and ready to rip. 440 is going to be coming in the next couple weeks. I'll take you up to my dad's place where we'll use his shop to complete some of the work that I wanted to get done on that. And then the next machine I'm getting to is the big Yami here. It's actually ready to go. It just needs some service time and a couple of updates to get ready for the winter riding season. So we got bikes, we got jet skis, we got tools, we're ready to go. I'll see you next time.